Something you said earlier that I want to pick up on is the idea of the channeling the works. And you said something about it being more about the channeling than sort of the deliberate application of your technique or your skill. Do you ever receive something that you can't articulate because of either your level of skill development or, is the translation always able to pass through you?
Yeah, that's a big question. So many things come to mind. I've talked to Bill a lot, Bill Frisell, my sort of dear friend and mentor, a lot about this. He had a dream once in which he heard this huge sound, which was mixed with colors, and everybody he ever knew. And this was something that he's been trying to write for the last 20 years. There's a certain ambition in trying to capture something really exquisitely beautiful that we're always trying to do. I guess we're always struggling with our own skill set in terms of really putting it down on paper or into the hands of a band to really make it real. But I think also the intersection of intuitive writing, composition, and dealing with our own skill set in terms of using our own tools to get things down is probably improvisation, because you're working intuitively to some degree within the constraints of your own skill set, and you're writing. And improvisers get a whole lot of practice with that, not only specific to jazz improvisers. Look at Beethoven. He was one of the greatest improvisers ever to live. They'd have to drag him off the piano bench after the 24th variation, he couldn't stop. As a player of jazz and an improviser, I write relatively simple things that my musicians can elaborate upon. And it's in that skill of elaboration or interpretation or improvisation that the core thing is really expanded to the magnificent thing that I hear in my head. And honestly, I never hear it as magnificent as it is when in the hands of the players. It's an improviser / jazz phenomenon that you bring these relatively simple ideas or structures to a band and they turn it into a symphony. And it's different every time. I don't have the skills or experience to write the symphony, like to write it all out. That's really a different kind of thing. And when I hear something extravagant, I know usually that it's something that my players will create with me.